Rochester Winter Parafest is back, March 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2022. Come say hi to Naked and Afraid celebrities Melanie Elizabeth and Trent Nielsen, Haunted Case Files Jack Kenna, Monster Quest Steve Coles, and more. This event has it all: paranormal investigators, UFO researchers, Bigfoot researchers, and even photo opportunities for the kids with Buddy the Bigfoot. Oh, okay, adults too. Come on down and get a tattoo from Ink Master Tony DeVille. There are psychic gallery and individual readings, as well as radio personalities, authors, jewelry, makeup artists, and so much more. It's only $15 per person, and children under 10 are free. March 25th, 26th, and 27th of 2022. For more information, go to WLFE-DB.com. Yes, Winter Parafest is back. Valley Oak Event Center, Geneseo, New York, next to Denny's.
A small hollow in North Carolina. There have been several Bigfoot sightings.
Hunters may need to be on the lookout for something other than deer when they hit the woods this week.
He hadn't been spotted recently, but according to these pictures, the legendary Mothman is back.
The number of UFO sightings is soaring tenfold over the past 25 years.
Now, she's not talking about people. She is talking about ghosts hanging around what some say is a real-life haunted house.
You're listening to Paratalk Radio with Ted Wolf and Psychic Cindy on Paratalkradio.com, a member of the WLFE digital broadcast family. Paratalk Radio is your one-stop for all things paranormal, the unknown, and the supernatural. Join us every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central for discussions and guests on topics such as ghosts, hauntings, Bigfoot, UFOs, and more. This broadcast is rated M for mature and is intended for listeners over 16. The topics, views, and opinions expressed on our show may not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Paratalk Radio, our hosts, or our sponsors. Now, live from J. Wolf Production Studio in Ontario, New York, here are your hosts, Ted and Cindy.
Well, there's no Cindy. I don't know where she is. She's not here, so she's probably running a little late, just like I was. I got out of work like 10 frickin' minutes ago and flew here. Boss had me doing some extra stuff. But we're here and getting ready to go here. You guys know how we start the show. I read the bio, and then we get moving on at this point. So right here, let me get his bio back up here. And I got to tell you that he's filling in because we had a last-minute cancellation, which we will be rescheduling. So, all right. So Len and Gail moved to Cane Creek Township in the spring of 2016 and quickly made 3 trips to New Orleans, where Len made quick work of investigating that very haunted city. Len is retired now, and Gail is semi-retired, just traveling around Arkansas, investigating a few places in their state, and is ready to share some of his experiences with the world. So tonight, that's what we're doing. So we have Len Dorman with us this evening. We're just going to be talking paranormal stuff, things that have happened, so on and so forth, and dive into some of the stories and the things that he's done. And that's what we're doing. Let me take this opportunity to say hello to Barry Martz, hello Robert White, Bill Davis, Steve Barry. Hello, guys. Let's see. I don't have WLFE up. I have my personal page and Paratalk up. So if you're over on WLFE, I'm not seeing you that I know of. So that's Cindy's department when she gets here. We'll get it figurated. That's it, figurated. All right, so without further ado, let's get Len on here and let's start the chat, you guys. Oh, wait a minute. Before I do that, we have to talk about last week. We gave our first clue out for winning that T-shirt. So, let me find the second question here. Yeah, no, I'm not a part of the Three Stooges. Sorry. All right. We might have to come back to that, but we'll get that other question out as well. I know I've got it here somewhere. Guys, you know what it's like to rush. That's what's happening here. Rush. So, I'll figure it out. You guys got the first one. Just remember, save the answers, okay? We will ask for them at the end of the month, and you have to have all of them correct. All right? All right, let's bring Len in here. Len! Can you hear me? Hey, Len?
Yes. How are you,
go.
sir? Yes. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hello, Sheridan. Hello, Steve. Hello, I guess that's it. The extra one's there, and I don't see anybody over there. And I found the question. So the second question, we will repeat this. Here's the second question. What guest of a TV series would not leave our show? So the question again is, what guest off of a TV series wouldn't leave the show? So there's your second question. So there's 2 questions gone and 2 to go. So you got to get all 4 of those right, folks. All right. So, Len, it's a pleasure to have you here on Paratalk Radio.
Hey, it's a pleasure being here, Ted.
Yeah, this will be fun tonight.
Yes, I am looking forward to it. Did you get the photo I suggested? Because tonight I do have a bone to pick with you.
With me? Uh-oh.
With you. Yes, sir.
Let me get in
We'll
here.
We'll figure it out later.
I got it here somewhere. It's in you sent it to me in Messenger, right?
No, I didn't send you a picture of that.
Oh.
So you're free to use any picture I sent you, though.
Oh.
But there is something I want to discuss with you that I've heard you don't believe in, that I have experience of. So we can get into that a little bit later.
But hey, whatever you want to do.
A little suspenseful.
Okay. Hello, Genevieve.
Let's hang on to it for a little while later. Where would you like me to start tonight? At 65, I've been around for a long time.
Yep. Let's start. What got you into it? What was the reason you got into it?
Well, a little bit of that long bio that I sent you. Actually too long, but got to cover a lot. I started feeling spirits back in my single digits. I'm talking about 5 and 6 years old. I was one of those kids that people have issues with now, scared of the dark, seeing things moving in the dark, knowing that even when I'm by myself in a room, I'm not alone. Turns out that in the neighborhood I grew up in Columbus, Georgia, it had 2 creeks running close by. And we're less than a mile away from a river. And anytime you have a creek or two, especially involving a hill or two, you're going to have Native Americans living there. And what I was feeling was Native American spirits that used to live where our household is. Oh, Cindy, can you hear me?
Hi, Len. How are ya?
She can't.
Yeah, she can.
Hear ya?
She's got you. Yep, she can hear you.
I am doing just great. It is my great privilege to talk with somebody as beautiful and as intelligent as you are.
Oh, that's it. I'm leaving.
Stop it. Go on. That's fine. You can
It's my great pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Len. I'm so happy. I'm sorry I'm late, you guys. Hi, everybody.
You know how Len started this off by telling me he has a bone to pick with me.
Oh, okay.
So he started off the show.
I love it. What is this bone he needs to pick with you?
Hello, Melissa Offen. Hello. I haven't seen you in forever.
I had to silence my phone, friends.
There you go. So let's get back to this. So Native American. So that's what it was. You started feeling things and seeing things, and that's what got you started.
Oh, is he frozen? Oh no, he's not frozen.
Did you hear me, Len?
I don't know if he can.
Did you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Len, can you hear us at all?
I don't think he can.
Can you hear us?
No, I'm not frozen. I'm just staying still.
Oh, okay. So
Also, my
delay.
father is from Live Oak, Florida, and yes, I heard.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear both of you just fine.
Okay, must be a delay.
Can you hear me fine?
Oh yeah, there's just a delay between us. That's all.
Yes. Yes, I can.
Okay. We're good.
Okay, like I said, I can hear. I can. Yeah, must be. We'll have to compensate for that somehow, or hope it ends.
Yeah.
Cindy was actually on. Yeah, Cindy was on a delay when she came in.
Oh, okay.
So back to what I was saying. Native American experience when I was a child, and my father's family's property in Florida, there was an old sharecropper shack there. And I explored it several times. And again, I was just 8, 9 years old at this time. And I could feel the spirits hanging around there. And then in 2001, I was wondering about, getting into the paranormal, or how you get into the paranormal. I just about gotten over it. And then a certain little movie come out that I think we were all a little bit excited about, Ghostbusters. So I started wanting to get back into the paranormal, watching that show, but was too busy. I was doing some civic stuff. I was a member of the Columbus JCs, which is Junior Chamber. And then Atlanta got something about 1991 called the 1996 Olympics, and I got involved in that. And actually got Olympic Games in my hometown of Columbus, Georgia. We hosted the softball games.
Wow.
And built several $1 million worth of infrastructure. And I had to tell the city how to pay for it. So we voted to raise the sales tax 1 cent, the local sales tax. And I've still got people mad at me about that now. I was best man at a friend of mine's wedding. And he wouldn't even speak to me last time I saw him. I think he still wants to whip my butt, because the very year the sales tax enacted, he and his wife bought a brand new car and a brand new Harley Davidson, and had to pay the extra 1 cent sales tax on those two major purchases.
Wow.
So he still doesn't like me.
Wow.
But I moved to Chicago in 2001 to get married. Yes, Gail's a Chicago native, born and raised on the south side of Chicago. And started studying up on mob spirits and mob haunts.
Wow.
And it visited many graveyards there, and run into Bruno Rodi, which if you look him up, there's very little available on him, but he was one of the main bombers for Al Capone.
Wow.
And we had a little run-in at the place he was, and he actually knocked the hat off my head. And one time I was down there with a paranormal group leading an investigation with another paranormal group. And he walked through the K2 meter I had in my hand. Of course, the K2 meter went off crazily, but I could feel him walk past through me. And the guy across from me, he shoved backwards. And I got that on camera, is me saying, I think he just walked through me. So watching the K2 meter with the camera, it goes off, and you can see his legs all of a sudden stagger backwards. So I've actually got that on video.
Wow, that's so cool.
And it was you were talking about investigating a funeral home. That's what this was. It was a former funeral home for the mob, owned by the 26th Street mob. They're 26 in Wentworth in Chicago. It'd been a bar for about 10 years, but for 90 years before that, it was a funeral home. And Bruner Road, he was kind of stuck here because he was a known gangster, broke a lot of laws, and killed a few people.
Jesus.
So I had to go in there, and actually, he was holding 20 to 25 spirits hostage in the place. And I had to go in there with a psychic and talk him down. You can't get him out of there. But the bar had moved on, and they were trying to make a bank of the place, and we had to clear him out. So what we did, we forgave him for everything he did to me, forgave him for any crimes, told him that Jesus Christ loved him and would forgive him all of his sins. And he is much happier now. He still roams around, but he's out of the old funeral home.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And he released.
Oh.
Yeah, I think there's a storm coming in too.
And that was not easy every day.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good story, that's for sure.
It is. He blowed up.
I love what Robert White said.
In December 2015. Oh, okay. On December 2015, Gail and I decided, since we're retiring.
Oh,
yeah,
I can't hear him.
But when we retired, we decided yeah. Robert White has always got something interesting to say. I always like to read his post.
I know.
I've never met him, but he seems to be a good person.
Yeah, he is.
But back to what I was saying, Gail and I started doing some math, and in our retirement, the property taxes in Chicago are some of the highest in the nation.
Hey, Tom.
Wow.
And we decided we'd come back home to where Gail's family is from.
No hot peppers.
Both of them are from Arkansas. Around for property. One lot of have to walk upstairs, and on 4 acres. And the property taxes are about $200 a year.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's it? $200 a year for property taxes?
Yes.
I wish.
Can you imagine?
I wish.
That would be amazing. Wait, where's this house that it's only $200 for property taxes?
Arkansas?
It is. I actually, and you'll notice me say occasionally, I live in downtown metropolitan Cane Creek Township. Cane Creek Township is an official place, but it's not really a city or town. It's got one business and about 2 or 3 roads. Those 2 roads do not intersect. We've got in this area I live. Remember, I live on 4 acres. I've got 2 empty lots between me and the next neighbor. To my right. This is my right hand. Well, when you go this way to my right, you gotta go through 2 empty lots that are acre wide to get to my neighbor who lives on the 3rd lot over. Over to my left, you can. I do have an next door neighbor. He lives there with his girlfriend in front of the lot. His father and his wife, lives at the back of the lot behind me. So there's 4 people living to my left, 2 people living in front of me across the street that I can barely shout to, and the other guy I can't even shout to because he's 2 acres over that way to the right. About 5 people, and further down the highway across from him is a guy with 1 son and his wife. Then further down, you may have about 6 or 7 people, and that's it. Now the other road's got a couple of farmers living there, and maybe has 10 or 15 people living on that street, and that's it for Cane Creek Township.
Wow.
This is outside Star City, Arkansas. Very small. Yeah. Star City, which is the town where we all do our shopping and get-togethers. That's where Gail works. Is a town of not quite 2,300 people.
Wow.
And remember, we live over a mile outside their city limits. It's got 2 Dollar Generals, 1 Family Dollar, and 1 Piggly Wiggly grocery store. And
it's a small place.
We actually have, we actually have 1 gas station that's open 24 hours with a McDonald's built onto it.
That's right.
We do have a Sonic. We do have a small Subway. And Steve Berry just said Green Acres is the life for Lynn. Yes. Moving down here after living in Chicago for over 14 years was a little bit of shock. Columbus, Georgia, when I was born, was only 28,000 people. And now Columbus, if you look it up now, is the 3rd largest city in Georgia.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it was a little bit of shock me moving to Chicago, but I adopted quickly. But moving down here was just a big change of pace. In Chicago, we could have the neighbor lean out a window that's level with ours, and I could lean out my window, and we could actually shake hands.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Here I can't even yell at my neighbors.
Too close.
They don't hear me.
I couldn't live like that. No.
So I moved from too close to
too far.
If I need help, fall down and put in a prairie dog hole or something, the neighbors can't hear me scream.
Steve Berry's being
since we moved down here,
funny.
How many Starbucks?
How many Starbucks? 0. There is not that many Starbucks in the whole state of Arkansas. You probably have to go. There may be one in Pine Bluff. I'm not sure. There's probably a couple in Little Rock. Barry March said, "Do they have a Chinese eatery there?" Yes, we have a Chinese eatery.
Nice.
They have a Chinese eatery, and we also have a Spanish restaurant here.
Nice.
Ooh, Spanish is. I love Spanish food.
Yeah.
Mexican
Steve Berry
food.
is being hilarious.
He's always hilarious. I have
Dunkin'
water in my
Donuts,
ears and I
or
can't get
you
it
might
out.
have to go. Dunkin' Donuts, you're going to have to go to Little Rock to Dunkin' Donuts. I'm not sure if they even got one there or not. You got to remember something. The entire population of Arkansas is only 3 million people. I moved from Chicago, which has a population of 3 million people, to a state with only 3 million people.
That's true.
We've only got 4 representatives in Congress and 2 senators. So,
but you probably got 20 bird dogs.
This is country time here.
That's fantastic.
But anyway, I was going to say about going down to New Orleans. New Orleans is 6 hours away from here. We can walk out our front door and be standing in a hotel lobby in 6 hours.
Wow, that's fun though.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, let's think about it, because
yes,
for
we've
us,
made
New York
3
City
trips
is
down
4.5
there.
to 5 hours.
Let me tell you a little story about that place. It was my middle investigation there. I went there specifically for this. They were closing the French Quarter Wax Museum forever.
Wow.
And the weekend they were going to start tearing it down, they had it open for paranormal investigation. So I went in there, and it was an old brewery.
Ooh.
And I got on a car elevator. I got on a car elevator where they used to load the trucks up upstairs, and got some incredible video of interactive conversation between me and a spirit. Once the spirit that was there asked a girl to leave the group and go outside. She went outside for about 15 minutes and came back in, and we said, "Can't she come back in here?" I didn't quite catch that.
No, I think
You're freezing up
You
on
both
us from
froze
time
on
to
me.
time.
your audio
Yeah,
is freezing up.
Yeah,
on us.
it's freezing up on us too. You're freezing up on us, basically.
Yeah.
Could be a storm in between us.
Yeah, it looks like it could be getting a storm here too.
Yeah, that's why it's so muggy.
But no, I got clear
Well,
skies
it's
here. We've got no rain expected for the next couple of weeks. We're in a dry period.
Oh, yeah, we got rain coming in tonight.
But
I've always wanted to do New Orleans. I've always wanted to be there, go down there.
Hell yeah!
I got some interactive conversation, but he said he has to stay out. He said he has to stay outside, and we're wondering who he is. And the girl turned out to have a little bit of psychic ability, and the spirit on the elevator did not want her spirit guide back on the elevator.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And I
what
got
the
all
reason
this
for that is.
recorded and in front of about 10 or 12 people.
Right, Bill?
Don't know. He never explained.
Wow.
I also had one guy who was standing there, and his K2 meter, when it was close to him, was flashing the whole time. And he was trying to blame it on me. He was trying to held it to me to go off. He'd move forward a little bit, hold it to other people, it would go completely off. He'd go back to where he was standing, and it would just sit there with all the lights on. And I finally said,
Did he have his cell phone in his pocket or on him?
Standing. I said, "What's your name to start with?" I said,
He's delayed again, Teddy.
He didn't have it on him. We checked that.
Oh.
He had no cell phone on him. He thought it was mine, but I had mine turned off. And when he got close to mine, the K2 wouldn't go off. And I finally said, "Who is standing by Josh?" And this voice came on and said, a female voice, and said, "Fred is." I said, "Excuse me, not Fred, Frank is." And I said, "Frank, where are you standing?" And the voice came back over the ghost box, "By Josh." And you can imagine what Josh was thinking about this time. He almost ran out of the elevator, but when he opened the door, he realized we were in a huge room used for a banquet. He would have to run about 250 feet to the nearest light bulb. That was a red light bulb shining on the stairwell, run down the dark stairwell to where you could find some people. He decided he wanted to stay there with us.
Wow.
Behind you, Robert. Robert,
And another.
Yeah.
Go Bucks. Go Bills.
No, Bills.
Robert. To answer Robert White's little post there, I was at a paranormal con in Little Rock about 4 years ago, and a guy was taping shows for his podcast. And he was taping, interviewing me, and we were talking ghost stories and, you know, swapping things on the radio, taping it. And we got fired up the ghost box, actually an echo box, right there, and we're trying to stir up a conversation. And he was saying, where are some ghosts? I want to interview some ghosts right here on my network. A voice come up in his right ear saying, and whispered, I'm right here.
Oh my God.
In his ear, the man jumps up, ends the interview in the middle of his recording, runs downstairs for the next hour, smoked about a pack of cigarettes in that hour outside. Almost scared the pants off the man.
Yes, it would.
And he has not had me on his show since.
Oh my goodness.
And back to the museum. After these evidence on the car elevator, most people left. I did not know that. I moved from the elevator to the main part of the wax museum where all the figurines were, where there was some red lighting, some green lighting. I had a camera running. Went down there, turned on Echo Vox, let it run, and was talking with Frank on and off the whole evening.
Right.
While I was videoing the figures in the wax museum. I did not know that they locked the door. Most of the people running the investigation, they left except for one. Only one person that worked in the museum stayed there, and they were up in the office playing video games while I was locked in the heart of the museum.
Now,
for 2.5 hours. Alone, in the dark, with no way to turn the lights on.
Oh my gosh. What in the hell?
Wow.
I'd be mad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't care. I was just investigating by myself. Got some good video. One of their sections has the old Universal Studios monsters.
Oh, that's freaking
The creature
cool.
from the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein, werewolf, and I took video of all those in the cross spectrum lighting. Now, a lot of people don't know what cross spectrum lighting is. Do you mind if I explain that real quick?
Go ahead.
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay. It's a light bar with a bank of lights on one side. That's IR. On the other bank, the rectangular light unit, you have UV, a bank of UV lights.
Oh, interesting.
In between, you have three more lights. One is a red light, but is leaning toward infrared. You can see it, it's red, you can see the light it produces, but it is very close to IR where you can't see it.
Okay.
The other one is a violet bulb leaning toward ultraviolet at the other end of the spectrum, where it's in our field of vision, but It's very, very close. Hello, Stephen Miller. My old friend Stephen Miller in here. But it's very, very close to not being able to see it. In the center is just your average, not a light, not a dark, but a green light that's in the center of the spectrum. And let me say something about green and red lighting. I don't know if you know this, Ted, or not. You've been around for a while. You may know this. That why is a traffic light red, green, and yellow?
Oh, I know this. It's actually having to do with our brain, and it has to do with the color length, the wavelength of the light, and where it hits your eyes and your brain.
Correct. Yellow.
I was supposed
is
to
very
answer
bright
that, but
and
that's
almost
okay,
painful
Cindy.
if it's bright.
I knew it. We had to know it for psychology.
And
exactly.
Well, red does not change the pupil in your eye. If your pupils are open because you've been in the dark, it's not going to close them. That's why you can see a stop sign in the dark.
Correct. It's got
Green has no effect on the pupils. Right. And it forces your pupil to open, creating your night vision. Green does not affect it. So you have a green light come in your eye, it's not going to close the pupil. So what I do during the investigation, rather than having people walking around, that's amusing.
I know some shiz.
Green and red are the lights I like to use rather than white light. I don't like anybody on an investigation I'm on walking around with a white flashlight because it ruins everybody's night vision. You can put some red and green lights throughout where you are, or some UV lights shining against walls, and it gives it kind of a twilight light. And I like this because it clears up a lot of things. If a spirit comes through that can only be seen in UV light, you see it. If a shadow figure moves through and eclipses light, you can see it. And you can also see where you're going. So if there's not a ghost in front of you, but a chair or a stool, you don't fall over it. And that's why if you go on an investigation with me, you'll see a lot of red and green lights. And that's why some people say, how do you pick up so much stuff? I use what's called cross spectrum lighting. And so I can see things more than most people would with a white flashlight, or in there like the little TV. TV is best to be dark because it's scarier. People look at it, they're nervous because they can barely see you in the dark. You're all green with night vision or whatever. And that's great for TV. It helps you light so you can actually see what you're doing.
Yeah, well, that's why they use green lights for the military.
Another investigation I did.
I couldn't hear you. Wait, green lights are for what in the military?
That's why they use them for the military.
Or you've seen these. Yes. And you see the World War II especially, where they've got the 90-degree angle flashlights, where you stick the flashlight in their shirt up here.
Yeah.
You seen that? We're shining straight forward. 9 times out of 10, it's got a red lens, so they can shine that red light down and see where they're going without ruining their night vision.
Oh, interesting. Red headlights during Vietnam.
So I just take a little clue from the middle. Yes. Where a fog, you want to put yellow lights under the fog. You want to put yellow lights as close to the ground as you can.
Yellow light is the longest wavelength, and we can see that in dark or light. And that's the one we should actually be using for fire trucks, actually.
Hey, I just got a notification from Sasquatch Chronicles, their show. Apparently, it says here, their news feed says landowner kills a Sasquatch Taps writes, in June 2021, a landowner in North Oklahoma shoots and kills the Sasquatch. Law enforcement gets notified. Interview later.
What?
That's what just came across. Yeah.
That would be absolutely amazing.
Hi, Kristen.
Oh, and talk about Sasquatch. Arkansas was actually in what they call Sasquatch territory. And I live close to a creek. I'm not talking about a little tiny creek. I'm talking about a pretty good creek. I live within 100 yards of a small stream, and I live about a half a mile from a bayou, and about a mile from a rather large lake. This place is full of deer.
Oh, your instruments had red lights too.
Yeah, the instruments, yeah.
So I said that a little wrong. Well,
there you go.
So
there you go.
Yellow light is the longest frequency and vibration you can see during the light and dark. Does that make sense?
That's because of the length of the light.
Yes. The length of the wavelength. Give me just one second.
That's why they're best in the fog. That's why a lot of people wear yellow glasses, and you drive the driving glasses for either nighttime or fog, and you always like yellow lights almost on the ground in front of your car, where you can turn them on, and the yellow lights will light up the road under the fog, and it helps you see through the fog on a foggy night if you got to drive. A lot of people, off-road vehicles around here, they'll have white lights high, and they have yellow lights as low as they can get them.
Right.
Without knocking them off.
Right. I hate the new blue lights.
Now, another one of my investigations, the blue lights are horrible. It messes with your vision when you see it. Your night vision's gone. It really is quite aggravating. Another investigation I did in North, I actually, for 2 nights, was head run of the Andrew Jackson Hotel in New Orleans.
Wow.
Yes, that was a lot of fun. I got to investigate the entire hotel, several of the haunted rooms there. Early on, I was standing outside getting everything coordinated. A guy walks into one of the more haunted rooms. He's just in there with a simple voice recorder. He has no camera. He did nothing but a voice recorder. And he is in there. Does anybody want to talk? The standard thing we all do when we go into a room. And something growled. And he came running out of there screaming. And he said, "You got to hear this." He said, I hope it recorded. He played back the recording 2 or 3 times, and there was an audible growl that he caught. Now, I was not in front of him when he got this recording. He could have faked it himself. I wouldn't know. I could not see him. He was in a room. I was outside. But it did not sound like it was fake. So I've got to qualify that I did not specifically see this happen or hear the growl myself.
Right.
They're literally talking about butchering this Sasquatch up and eating him.
Yeah. Loin burgers, bacon, tenderloins. Oh, yeah. That's what they're talking about.
Bigfoot burgers. The Russians couldn't see us as easily running red. Oh, that's interesting, Bill. Yeah, blue flashing lights, so annoying. For us, too.
Yeah.
They actually pair it. We didn't used to be here up in New York. We didn't used to have blue lights. It was red and yellow.
Yeah.
And they would be going, but then they changed it and added blue, because more people would notice and stop with a yellow light going as opposed to a red and a yellow. So
yeah, the blue light. You mean? You mean blue? Yeah.
And we had less accidents into the cop cars.
Yep. The blue light makes it more visible.
Yeah, those blue LEDs. Yes, you can see those things a mile away flashing, and by the time you are passing the wreck or whatever it is, they got the lights flashing for. You're near blinded. You get past them, you can't see your hood ornament.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Oh.
One other thing I want to touch on, Ted. When you first turned the camera on, you saw my hat, right?
Yes.
You saw this guy?
Yeah, I don't remember what it said, but yes.
Can y'all see that?
I can see it, but
We
I don't
can't
know.
Yes, it said, I survived. Okay, I survived Camp Douglas.
Oh, there you
several
go.
years ago. This is back when I was in Chicago. Camp Douglas was a Civil War prison camp opened from 1862, opened early 1862, and the last person didn't leave till about the middle of 1866. During those times, by the way, this for location for everybody, this place is about maybe half a mile north of Soldier Field in Chicago. So we're talking about downtown Chicago. We're not talking about Chicago land. We're talking about downtown Chicago. This place, part of it is a city park. And I negotiated with the city for about 2 years to get permission to investigate this place. The reason I wanted to investigate it is because, one, they had dug up some of the area looking for artifacts, and it actually dug very close to where the headquarters was. And found several Civil War artifacts.
Wow.
Talking to people who lived in the neighborhood, every time they plowed up a little bit of their garden outside their condos, which are built on the site now, they would find belt buckles, a bullet or two. You imagine digging your garden, planting a tomato plant or a little bit more grass, and digging up Civil War bullets.
Wow, that's so cool.
In the 4 years this place operated, depending on who you talk to, between 4 and 6, and I tend to lean towards a little bit over 6,000 people died.
Wow.
And were buried in City Cemetery in Chicago, a little bit to the north, and basically a floodplain of the lake. If the lake would flood a little bit, and when the water went down after the rain, you would have coffins floating in Lake Michigan near the water supply, the water intake, because that's where they'd be drawn to, because that's where they were sucking water out of the lake to drink. And they finally said, we got to close this cemetery. We got to move it somewhere else.
Sounds like Hard
in
Island.
1866, they started. They started moving where the soldiers were buried. The Confederate soldiers were buried, and decided to move into a South Side cemetery. So they went down and found a little mound, and dug a circular trench about 40, 50 feet across, and in the trench, they made about 6 feet wide, and they started putting these old caskets in. The problem was, with that cemetery, of course, everything in Chicago is corrupt. The garbage is corrupt. The politicians are corrupt. Actually, they did not build on top of this particular one. But everybody that was corrupt was to move the civilian graves, not the army. The government took care of the Confederate dead and buried them basically in a mass grave. They had this circular trench. They thought they could put them all in one trench. They finished, and wagons were still rolling up with bodies. They dug another trench outside of that circular trench. They thought that would hold them. It did not. They had to build a third circular trench. So there's about 6,000 people buried in the south side of Chicago in a mass grave. And when I was talking about the corrupt guy, he was in charge of moving the civilians. What he did, of course, charged $4 a grave, pulled up the headstone, had a bunch of cheap caskets made of cheap wood, put dirt and stones in the new caskets, sent them to the cemeteries, and never dug up the real bodies. Today, that is called Lincoln Park. So if anybody goes to Chicago and wants to go play Frisbee or walk their dog or play soccer or play baseball or softball, There are several of those fields right there that are built on top of graves. People there walk their dog every day from the nearby apartments, not knowing that they're playing with their dog on top of people still
Which
buried
park is that?
there. Lincoln Park. Lincoln Park.
I can't remember which park I went
Yes.
to when I went
Lincoln.
to play Pokemon Go.
Oh, there's a lot of parks in Chicago. New
Yeah, we
York
went to
has their big park. Yeah, has big Central Park. Chicago has theirs breaking up into mini parks, so you can actually walk without having to go to one huge area, which is a little bit more convenient. In Lincoln Park, the park you went to, let me tell you this to see if you can answer your own question. Lincoln Park Zoo is attached to Lincoln Park. And every time they dig a new cage for their animals at Lincoln Park Zoo, they almost always dig up a body. And they have to go somewhere else and bury it. And there is approximately depending on who you say, it's from 2,000 to 4,000 people still buried in what used to be City Cemetery, now Lincoln Park. And that's whose graves you're picnicking over. And there's many people going there to spread picnic food on the ground, not realizing they're sitting on a grave.
That is not cool.
Welcome to Chicago.
I had to run to the little boys' room. I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah. My fan.
Okay, we can pick this bone when you get back.
My phone my fan isn't too loud.
I hear it.
Oh, you can?
I hear it, but it's not annoying.
Okay, that's good.
So, Cindy, is there anything you want to talk about?
Well, in the chat, they're talking about, Indian burial mounds, and Bill says he tries to steer clear of the Indian cases. Yeah, I don't blame you. I understand that. But Brandon Elvis, Bob says, just did a documentary last year on a park in LA. Same thing happened. They built a park on top of a graveyard. And it was a military graveyard. Oh my God, that's terrible. Steve says they did build on top of the graves. Told you. Oh my gosh. They never moved the bodies, Bob said. That is absolutely terrible.
That's commonplace. I've heard this story over and over. But I've heard the same story over and over and over again, state to state to state, where the city wanted to move the graveyard, cemetery, depends on if it's by a church or not, and they moved the headstones, didn't move the bodies.
It seems so illegal, and they shouldn't be allowed to do that kind of stuff. It just does not.
That's correct.
Not right. It's not right.
By the way, Cindy, just wanted to tell you this. I have worked with several psychics over the years.
That's awesome.
I've worked with some that don't have any kind of thing. They want to claim they're psychics, just trying to make a little money. But I've talked some real serious psychics. And I have those that are serious and those that are real, I have utmost respect for. And a real psychic, I will investigate with anytime. To me, they're an extra tool and just another way to investigate a haunted location.
We just did a location, Teddy and I. Now, I don't know if he was gonna. I should ask him before I start talking about it, but. We just did one together, and it was pretty cool that some of the things that I came up with were also corroborated. Wait, Barry, there's a playground in Emerson Park.
And that's what you try to do.
Placed above it. Did he say Cindy is a tool?
Auburn, New York.
No, Cindy is cool. I'm a very good tool when it comes to looking at the, trying to talk and pay attention to locations. He wasn't being mean, Barry. I mean, no, Steve Barry. He wasn't being mean, though.
And Steve, Steve Barry, I was talking about psychics in general, or just going with them on paranormal investigations. It's just another tool in the toolbox. And you pull them out, you work with them, you listen to everything they say.
Well, as long as they're good ones, right? I try to have somebody that can corroborate what I'm saying.
Yes, you have to have a good one.
They can understand, yeah. I want to take Cindy on a live investigation through Skype. Heck yeah, Bill.
Okay. Now, Cindy,
it was fun. Bill and I was telling him some stuff, and it was just cool. The things that he had going on in his location. That was cool. And I was here, and Bill was down in Florida when I was saying stuff about the location. Teddy, are we going to talk about our investigation?
We can.
Because we were just talking about, Len had said that he uses a lot of psychic mediums and stuff, and that we're a good tool when it's a good psychic, right? When it's a good medium, right? Hey, Eileen, there you are. And hi, Dave Haney. A virtual tool. Yes, I was a virtual tool that day, Steve. I was saying that there were things that I had come up with that were able to be corroborated, but I did not tell them about what our experience was because I wanted to clear it with you first.
Oh, that's fine. Hi, Doc.
Hey, Doc! Depending on the time of food, bodies might be fully decomposed into dirt, wouldn't you think? I get the idea of a cemetery, but I wonder if that's a factor in choosing to move only gravestones. That's that I didn't think about. That's true. I guess it depends on how old the cemetery is, right? But I still think it's disrespectful.
Disrespectful and creepy.
Yes. Let me
creepy.
Let me address Dr. Mystical here. In City Cemetery, you had older graves that were put in the cheapest, because this was a potter's field. A lot of it was potter's field.
Potter's field, yeah.
You had a lot of graves in the cheapest kind of caskets there was. These bodies had been wet on numerous occasions. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine what kind of shape these bodies were after even been in the ground 5 to 10 years with rotting, non-prepared wood, not a wooden casket, not metal, and having been wet maybe once a year over 5 to 10 years, and then dried in the dried ground. So you can just imagine what kind of shape these bodies were in anyway. Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming that's why the guy would rather con the city by burying dirt and rocks and graves in other cemeteries and leave these bodies alone, because these bodies, after being wet and dried and in the constant hot cold of Chicago, because you're baking in the summer, the ground freezes in the winter.
Yeah.
You know, digging that up just had to not be a good thing. Now, I'm sure Dr. Mystical would agree on this.
Yeah, in the wintertime, they're ice cubes.
Popsicles?
Yes. Popsicles. Especially after they've been wet.
Yep. Hey, Dave Haney.
One thing I wanted to touch on is Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. Ted, you said you've never heard of the place, correct?
No.
Where is this located? You said Bachelor's Grove?
Cindy, have you ever heard of Bachelor's Grove Cemetery?
Grove, Grove.
Oh, Grove.
Yes, okay. South of Chicago. if you want, if anybody wants to look it up and see the history of this place, it's always in the top 5 most haunted cemeteries in the United States. It makes the top of, near the top of everybody's poll. If you want to know some of the history of it, look up the path to bachelorsgrove.com.
Right.
That's not my site, that's somebody else's site. The path to bachelorsgrove.com. They have a lot of history on this place.
Wow.
But if you want to talk paranormal, I'm the one you need to talk to, because while I was living in Chicago, I probably got 300 to 400 hours at this location.
What?
Now it's only 1 acre, 1 square acre.
Steven. Got a voice.
To comment on Steve's post. Steve Barry's post. We got Stephen Miller in there too, but Steve Barry's post, due to the shallow ground and the high water level, they couldn't be buried 6 feet deep. These people in the city cemetery were very, very, very close to the surface. So close, in fact, that when the lake flooded and you would get a couple of feet of water over the cemetery, it would knock enough dirt off to float caskets out of the ground into the lake and over to the water pickup for Chicago. People about 100 years ago were in their water, they had in their spigots, was straight out of the lake. There was no water treatment plant at that time. And even into the 1920s and 30s, people would try to take a bath in Chicago, and you would have fish in your bathtub when you want to take a bath.
Oh my gosh. Gross.
Because there's no water. It was straight lake water. And you can imagine the thought of people when they found out the caskets were floating in the water around the water intake, and they're drinking and bathing in this water.
No.
That's disgusting.
But on Bachelor's Grove, you saw Stephen Miller said he'd been there recently and got a voice at Bachelor's Grove. Bachelor's Grove was abandoned in the late 1960s, early 1970s. The last burial there was a caretaker who took care of the place. He was buried there in the early 80s. He was cremated. They dug a post hole. I know the location, but very few people do. And I'm not describing that and rip my fingernails out. I'm not going to tell you exactly where his burial was. But they just dug a post hole, went to the max amount where the handles were level with the ground, put his ashes in the hole and covered it up, unmarked. That's where he wanted to be buried, because he'd been a caretaker there for a couple of decades. Bachelor's Grove has been desecrated. A whole lot of stories there. The local people use it to test your manhood. If you can go in there and curse at ghosts and walk out in one piece, I guess you're a man. They do that when they're 16, 17, 18 years old. It used to be heavily marked by gang sign and other graffiti. They're trying to keep it clean. The last owner, who long passed away, deeded the cemetery to the county. The county will not admit owning the place. It is in the middle of what they call the Forest Preserve. It's where Chicago, at this point, it's Cook County, has designated this place as a forest preserve, and they keep it natural. And they do allow a couple Boy Scout camps to go there. They have some picnic grounds. Others just trails where you can walk through the woods. And the cemetery is there, but it's not owned by the Forest Preserve. They did not buy the cemetery when they took it over. So as to who owns it, that's a fight in Chicago itself.
Wow.
So it's just crazy they don't maintain it. Other people will tell you all the bodies have been taken out of Bachelor's Grove. Me and several friends got to looking and digging, and we found paperwork where about half the people buried there were removed in the 70s and 80s. They asked everybody to come by and pick up their families' bodies at their expense. They were not paying anything for it. Well, families who did not have the money to exhume their relatives just had to leave them there. And if they couldn't find the family, they're still there. So there's still about 200, somewhere between 200 and 250 bodies still buried in Bachelor's Grove, even though a lot of people in the county will tell you nobody is there. And they did remove about 250, so they got about half. So as you can see, there's somewhere between 400 and 500 people buried in 1 acre.
Wow.
Over the years.
That's not cool.
Including a Civil War vet who fought for the Union. He did not die in the war. He didn't die until about 1890s. And the research I did, that I sent the pictures to Ted, if you want to throw them up there, you can. I'll have to, if you throw the picture of the white lady on the stone, that is a copyrighted picture. We can only use it in a money-making promotion if I tell you that Dale Kazmarik's group, Ghost Research Society, one of the top paranormal groups in the country, one of the oldest, he founded that in the very early 70s. I was still in high school. I'm 65 years old. I was still in high school when this group was founded.
Wow.
He owns the copyright to that picture, so Dale lets me use it when I want to, but I always mention Dale Kazmarik and Ghost Research Society Dale, before I show that picture to anybody. And that's the one. If you look up on Google and you look up ghost photo, this is what you come up with a lot. This is a very much blown up shot. This was checked twice by photography experts. They checked the negative on this photo and they swear that the negatives was not tampered with. And from the negative, you can see this photo. Now, it's from a distance. Like I said, this is a blow up. This lady was not seen by the naked eye. It was taken by, this is in Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. This is a very old shot of the front gate. This is another shot of the inside of Bachelor's Grove a few years ago before they cut everything down. And I don't know where that is.
That's Bachelor's Grove.
That is not Bachelor's Grove.
Oh, that's what it said when I took it.
No, Bachelor's Grove doesn't have that many headstones.
Huh.
Whoops.
Well, then
that was an error.
Well,
so that was an error, probably my error. I'm sorry. But let's see, where was I on my thought?
Why not?
This lady was called the White Lady of Bachelor's Grove. She was seen several times crying, walking around crying. Oh, that picture was taken with 35 millimeter infrared film back in 1992 or 1993. So it's not a digital photo, so there is a negative.
Right.
I found out who it was by doing research. This is why I say paranormal investigating. It often involves, it's not all stumbling around in the dark. You've got to hit books. You've got to hit libraries. You've got to do research. And if he can pull up the other photo of the married couple that I sent you.
Trying to catch up here.
We can see how I came up with the name.
I'm confused about the joke that's going on.
Of the White Lady of Bachelor's.
Take care, Eric.
C. Barry said, "Human remains soup up quickly." That's not a good, pleasant thought. And me, I haven't eaten supper yet, so as soon as we get out of the show, I'm probably going to eat supper. And human remains soup is not on the menu.
No.
But anyway, I found a picture of a woman wearing the same dress as the photo that Ted put up there of her sitting on the stone.
Wow.
It was her wedding
stuck
picture.
those
She
in
was
my
married
messenger.
in 1863. Yes. Can't get them out?
No, let me try again.
Don't have soup, Len. They said, don't have soup for dinner, Len. Okay,
No.
So,
Actually, what I'm probably going to have. Go ahead.
Bill said, that's not funny. You
Whoa.
can joke about cemeteries, but not graveyards. Then Steve said, Bill Davis, okay, you said cemetery. Joke is fair play. I'm so confused. You can joke about cemeteries, but
What
not
do
graveyards.
you know the difference between a cemetery and a graveyard?
Yeah, one just
A
has
cemetery
a fence, the other doesn't.
is a cemetery. Yeah, one has a church. Cemeteries do not have a church, but a graveyard has a church beside it.
But I don't get the joke.
The correct thing with the English language, if you go into a church, you get buried at a graveyard beside the church. If like Bachelor's Grove, there's no church there. It's a cemetery.
I don't even know if church is necessary. It's just if there's a fence around the thing.
That's what I was told.
I think if it's a cemetery, then it has a fence. If it's a graveyard, there's no fence. I'll double check. I know.
Well, down here in the South, a lot of cemeteries are active. I got one just on the hill behind me. By the way, the bird flies within less than a mile from the house here. It has no fence. Most cemeteries are built down here, no fences.
Then it would be a graveyard, I'm pretty certain. Okay, hang on. Cemetery. I just want definition.
Well, this one is where you need to talk about the definition between cemetery and graveyard. The church is across the street from the cemetery.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay, so hang on. I'm just going to.
So it just depends on your definition.
Yes, hang on 1 second. Difference between a cemetery and a graveyard.
Cemetery, but a graveyard primarily refers to a burial ground within a churchyard.
Oh, see, that's you were right, but that's not how it said it before to me. The term graveyard is often used interchangeable with cemetery, but a graveyard primarily refers to a burial ground within a churchyard. But that's not what it said before. That's so weird. That is so weird because it said that one had a fence and one didn't. So that's interesting. Yes, Len is correct. Bill Davis, that is correct. You are correct.
Yes.
Len is correct. Yep. Our joke sucked, LOL.
Anyway, and the reason she comes to that cemetery is her first. That one. There you go. This is a picture of John Humphrey and Amelia Patrick Humphrey. This is their wedding picture from 1863. How old was photography in 1863? Give me a break. John Humphrey, by the 1880s, was the most powerful man in Cook County outside the city of Chicago. He was the state representative. So he was a politician and corrupt. He was also having an affair with his secretary from day one. When he was elected to office, he hired a lady he was already having an affair with, and they continued having the affair the whole time they were married. His wife there, Amelia, died in 1881 after bearing him several children. 6 months after she died, he married his secretary, and she bore him several children.
Wow.
They're buried in a cemetery in Orland Park Cemetery. That's the name of it. It's the name of the town, Orland Park. A lot of towns have park in their last name around Chicago. It's called Orland Park. It's actually the end of one of the big train stops. But they're buried there. He's got his late wife, Amelia, on one side of him. He's got his new wife, the secretary who he married, who he had affairs with almost their entire time him and Amelia were married, on the other side of him. And the kid she bore him by Amelia, and the other wife, the kid she bore him, was buried by her. Now, the reason she came to Bachelor's Grove a lot is because her firstborn child, born in 1864, died in 1865 at 11 months and 4 days old. She could not be buried in Orland Park where the rest of them are, although he'd already purchased the plot there, because that cemetery was not open for burials until 1869.
Wow.
So she couldn't be buried there. So John said, we'll have to bury her at Bachelor's Grove. She and the Patricks had a plot there. She is actually buried with a few cousins, a few second cousins, an aunt and uncle. The Humphreys and Patricks, they emptied the cemetery, emptied Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. And of course, they were never picked up because the family, one part of it lives in Florida, part of them lives in California. And they were not going to travel all that far to exhume their family member and go through all that tremendous expense. So Libby May Humphrey is still buried in Bachelor's Grove today. And I believe I gave you a short video of a K2 going off by itself, not near anything.
Yeah.
Unsolicited. Now it's not the lights. It was not picking up EMF. EMF meters I've only seen click off twice in all my times of investigating Bachelor's Grove. I've only seen 2 hits on meters, one on a male, one on a K2. My K2, however, was modified. It had a temperature sensor in the head of it, where it would sound an alarm if the temperature changed. And you can stick it in the refrigerator, you might hear a slight tone. But the tone changes if you watch that video are dramatic. And I've tried putting it in a freezer, pulling it out to an 85-degree room, which should be a 40-degree temperature change. I cannot make it to make the noise. It made it Bachelor's Grove.
All right. Interesting.
And then it was starting to change tones. It would go high, low, high, low, high, low. Sometimes sounding like Morse code, sometimes sounding like a song. The only way I found, I worked trying to make this sound on my K2. The only way I could do it is put my fingers on the temperature probe and move them like this, very fast. If you can see my finger moving around that quickly, that's the only way I can make a tone like that. So the only way I can figure is that Libby May come up there beside me and was touching the temperature probe on my meter. And now we come to this bone I wanted to pick with Ted.
Well,
so Cindy, you can stay out of this. You're not involved in this.
We're going to hold this bone to take our commercial break. We're going to take our commercial break, and then we'll come back.
Okay.
So, all right. So, everybody, we'll be back with Len in just a moment.
Okay.
We're going to take our quick break. Don't go anywhere, guys.
Don't move.
All right, everybody. So real quick, I just want to go through the events that's happening next week already. Next week, Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, the 20th through the 22nd. So make sure if you haven't gotten your tickets, you can buy them at the door. But you're going to see Cindy and I and some of the other WLFE shows. We will be at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. So make sure. Oh yeah, so make sure you get your butts there. Also, Para Unity Expo, September 25th, 2021. Great people there as well. Make sure you check that out. Mass Paracon, September 17th through the 19th. I'll go to massparacon.com to check that out and get your tickets as well. And then October 9th, 2021 is the Portland, Maine Paracon. Make sure you get out there as well. And then March 25th and 26th, 26th, and 27th of March 2022 is Rochester Winter Parafest. It's actually now being called just Rochester Parafest because it's now going to be at the end of March. And we will have more information on that as soon as it becomes available. All right, guys. All right, so we are back talking with Len Dorman. And we are talking, of course, with the beautiful psychic Cindy and the handsome me. You muted yourself.
Teddy got a compliment. I was like, thank you. Teddy got a compliment from one of my friends and clients and said that Teddy's looking pretty good lately.
Really?
Your face is looking thinner. You're looking good, my friend.
Oh, shucks.
Oh, shucks. Stop it.
All right, guys. So hopefully we'll see you guys at Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. It's going to be a fun 3 days.
Bill said he wasn't going to be able to make it after all, and Bob said he'll see us next year, and Bill said he's going to try and make it next year as well.
Yeah.
Barry
Well, hopefully
is going to be at the bash. Whoop.
Well, hopefully we can get these guys to come in at March on 2022
Yes.
to come to the Parafest, because that'll be a good one. That'll be a real good one.
Yeah, it'll be a good one.
So, guys, don't forget to get your Paratalk Radio T-shirts. We are taking your photos and we are putting them up on the website and on our Facebook page. We got 2 already that I see.
Did Bill?
Yeah.
Bill? We did that too, Len.
Yeah.
Teddy, you can do it too. Other side. Yep.
Yeah, Bill and Robert, we did theirs already.
Okay, good. Bill, yes. Bill had sent me his.
Yep. So we got him. Yep. So, all right. So we're back talking to Len Dorman, who is part of. Go ahead.
I was going to address a question that I saw in the chat here. just before we went on break.
Yes.
Somebody
which
wants
one?
to know is the temperature probe that they want to know if the temperature probe was internal or external, because this was a limited edition K2 meter. Not many of them are around, and I happen to have in my hand one of the few. And as you can see, there's something right there in the center, right at the top. I'll let it zoom in.
Oh, yeah.
You see, that is not regular equipment on a K2. That is a temperature probe. And the only way I could change the alarm sound on this, one of the few ways I could actually set it off, was to touch it with my fingertips. And it was the alarm going off, not the lights. So I was not picking up EMF anything. It's not like a cell phone or a cell phone tower or anything else. I was picking up a temperature change. And the only way I could make the change, the tone change like it was in Baxter's Grove, is to physically put my hands on it like this and move my fingers very rapidly like this on the probe to make a tune. And that's the only way I could do that. And here is where I wanted to pick the bone with Ted.
Oh.
Ted, I heard, you can tell me if I'm wrong. Huh?
Go ahead.
The question was referring to whether you were
Ted,
measuring temps inside or outside of the location.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Oh, well, Baxter's Grove Cemetery is inside the location. I was, in fact, when I initially ran into the temperature checks, I was maybe 30 feet from where Libby Mae Humphrey was buried. Later, I actually put the K2 meter on the Patrick stone, which is kind of upset. The foundation of the stone's kind of rotting away, breaking away, and it's leaning. And I put this on this. It's got angled corners, and I had it on the angled corner, which set it nearly flat. At one point, Libby Mae was touching it so hard, she knocked the end of it up, pushed it up too far, and it slid down the stone. And I actually got that on video, where a spirit actually moved my K2 meter. You can actually see it pick up and move.
Wow, that's cool.
Which was amazing.
Yeah.
But then this is related. This is a segue. Goes to the bone I want to pick with Ted, because I heard Ted doesn't believe in portals.
He doesn't believe in what?
Portals.
Oh yeah, he
You
does
see, he's
not.
shaking his head.
What y'all doing?
I have actually seen portals open. I was on one side of Baxter's Grove Cemetery and was looking across to the front, close to the gate that he showed earlier. I was inside, but I was the opposite side of the cemetery. So I was, 60, 70 feet away. Maybe further than that, maybe 80 feet away. And it was a calm day, and all of a sudden I see the limbs, and you saw the limbs on the fence in a couple of those photos. Small trees, brush, vines, and I saw a wind blowing it. It looked like a 30, 40 mile an hour wind going along the fence. And I realized this was a very small local phenomenon. It was only blowing on the fence. Trees around it were not moving. And it traveled from the corner of Baxter's Grove Cemetery along the chain link fence almost to the gate, and the wind dissipated, and a near full body apparition walks out of the wind and then disappears in front of the gate.
Interesting.
And I'm sitting there watching this.
That's pretty cool.
At another point, I'm standing, that you saw that gate picture he posted earlier. I'm standing just inside the gate, right at the corner. When you walk into the cemetery, the left-hand side. And I was standing with a friend, and his dog was there. He was a local. He walked there. He walks his dog quite a bit in the area. And the dog sits there, is looking with his ears perked up along the fence. And my friend says, there's something going on down here. We should watch. I said, indeed. So we stood there, right parallel with the fence, looking straight down the fence, just inside the cemetery. And we were watching it. We were kind of chatting back and forth. But all of a sudden, the wind starts up and starts coming up the fence, blowing. I mean, look like a 34-mile wind, but leaves going everywhere up the fence. It got the wind about maybe 10 yards of us, and I started walking toward it. As I was walking toward it, the wind dissipated. I didn't even feel it. You had a 34-mile wind blowing along the fence, and I was there close enough. The wind should have hit me in the face. I didn't even feel a slight breeze. Nothing.
All right. Well, I have to address Dr. Mystical here.
Doc helped me today. If you go to my pages, Doc helped me today, and I'm copacetic on all my pages. I'm cohesive.
Plus, the ribs are stronger than the humans.
All right. So this is Dr. Mystical's question. Tell us about that, Ted. Is it portals as energy concentration, or a passageway, or both?
Huh?
Here's my problem.
Yeah, but
he doesn't believe in any of it.
Here's my problem. All right, my problem is the same problem that I have with ghosts. I've never seen them. Like, there's no proof that they exist. I mean, I have seen things. I'm not going to say I haven't. But to say that's actually a ghost, I have to find a way to prove that. I have to prove the existence. Same with a portal. How do you prove the existence? You know? Energy, we know everything is energy. So if I have to believe in it, if I have to look at something as I'm not sure what it is, I would say it would have to be some type of energy. Do I see it as a passageway? I don't necessarily agree that it's a passageway. And the reason I say that is because I don't believe Bigfoot is going through a portal from one place to another. I'm sorry, I disagree with that. I am
But how many Bigfoot people believe and trust?
I don't care. I don't care what they believe. I don't care what they believe. When we can prove it, then I'll believe.
Oh, Robert,
when we can prove it, then I'll believe.
Look.
I don't give a fuck about the look.
You know, it's just I want to see proof. There's got to be some way. I mean, everything in this world that we have, I mean, there's a way to gauge it. There's a way to read it. There's a way to...
Oh, I will.
You know, but at this point, I just need more. I'm the person... Remember, guys, this show has been on the air for 5.5 years. And I'm the one that tells you every single show, I need more. Okay? I need more. I just can't listen to somebody's story and say, oh, yeah, I believe. I'm sorry, I'll never do that. Even with the stuff that I've seen that I can't explain, do I believe it? Maybe 50, maybe
your eyes from believing.
You know, maybe 50%. I can't. There's got to be an explanation. That's what I always come back to. There has to be an explanation. So that's where I sit, guys. Unfortunately,
listen,
you know, if I can put it in my hand, if I can see it, if I can taste it, if I can. You know, my 5 senses have to work for this thing. And I've worked with gut feelings and stuff, but no, sorry. That's just me. I mean, I'm not as hard on this stuff as, say, Kenny Biddle is. You know, he's a true skeptic, but...
Where do you fall on dimensions? That's a good one, Doc.
Well, let's go to recent studies with NASA and the government.
Because they are talking about portals' existence and dimensions existence.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And so with the government and NASA saying that there is a good chance that they exist, there's going to be data. So it's something I'm going to be able to look at. So that's where I stand.
Yeah.
So, same with Bigfoot. Same with Bigfoot. Same with aliens. Same with everything that is in the unexplained.
Listen,
I'm sorry.
Let's see, was it last Tuesday or the Tuesday before? I was sitting here and all of a sudden I watched in my mind's eye a portal open that I've never seen in my house before open. And aliens were sitting watching me from the portal. They didn't come in, but they sat and watched from their portal.
Did you take your meds?
You're so crazy. You know I don't take no meds, and I don't need no meds. Don't be making these people think I need medication.
Just joking. Jesus. Steve Berry.
I need is allergy medicine.
Steve Berry says.
To you, Teddy.
Steve Berry says, amateur skeptic here. I side with Ted. Thank you.
Well, Steve, it's okay because they're going to prove y'all wrong.
Steve Berry, portals to what NASA said, other dimensions. Have heard no talk of NASA verifying ghosts.
Well, they don't have to verify ghosts. It's portals we're talking
Vampire
about.
aliens, they won't come unless invited. Nice. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there, man. I mean, I get updates all the time on stuff, and I watch as much information as I can. 37 years doing that. Is that 37 from 85 to 2021? You know, so I mean, I've been doing this a long time. And I've always been one of those guys that if I find, like, I showed these, what was it, last week or the week before? Anything that I find that magazine or whatever, I pick up because I want to see if there's any new information, you know?
I guess you gotta do like Steve says.
I subscribe to Science Daily. I subscribe to Science Research and Technology. I subscribe to a lot of different outlets and information because I want to know, you know, I can't. A good investigator will do his work, will do his research, and will have all the information that he possibly could need, and then be there for the new stuff as it filters in. I mean, you really just have to do your research.
I also feel like they have to have an open mind because we can sit here
I agree.
and talk about this because if you are slapped with the thought or reality of a portal, you can't not say after having your own proof, no matter how it is, you can't then say, okay, well, I don't believe it.
Well, if you've had the experience, but see, I've never had an experience. So for me, I sit on that fence, that line between you two saying, hey, is there a possibility? Yeah, there's a possibility. But do I have my own proof? Did I see it? Did I experience it? No. That's like demons. I've never had an experience with demons. And just to hear on TV and people talking about, oh, it's demon this and demon that, it pushes me more away from the whole subject because I don't care who you are. You could do 50, you could do 1,000, you could do 5, investigations. And I will guarantee you that the amount of people that do these investigations are not going to say every or even 50% of their locations is demon.
Correct.
It's not going to be that way.
No,
and if you go into any location thinking that it's haunted or it has a demon in it, you've already made up your mind that it does.
Yeah.
Whether your proof shows it or not, you already made up your mind it does.
Empirical data. That's what Teddy wants. Empirical data.
Thank you. You just let's say this, folks. I mean, if you're out there investigating, and we've said this, and this is not against anybody that uses devices of any type, whether it be a K2. What do I got? I got a couple devices here too. I use them anyways. I have them because I want to see how they react to the things that I can and cannot prove, or from what is said in the story. Okay. So whether you use them or not, that's on you. You do your experiments with them. That's all I ask. But don't put it out there that it's permanent and real truth, because you can't.
The problem is once you have some proof, it's usually an experience. And an experience is not replicable. We know this. so you can't say empirical data on something that's not necessarily replicable. So,
right.
Teddy, I don't agree with you, and you know I don't agree with you.
I know.
We all have, I mean, because like
experiences are one thing.
Bob has that thermal body of a full spirit. It's not going to necessarily replicate itself again unless it is a residual. Only if it's a residual will it keep popping up in the same exact place over and over again. There's your goddamn proof for replication and empirical data. You're welcome. However, intelligent hauntings are not the same thing, and we know this, Teddy. We know that.
That's why you cannot.
And so if that's what you're basing this on, Teddy, it will never be proven, and then you can always say it's not true. And that's bullshit. That is fucking bullshit. I will call it, and you know I'll call you out on it. Because if you have good fucking evidence, we saw some before.
But if you can corroborate that, to me, all I'm asking for is corroboration. I'm asking for a little more. I just want more. I just can't take a blip on a K2 as a ghost. I just can't.
No, I will agree with you.
You know, I can't take somebody asking, "Hey, what color is the sky?" and then the ghost box says blue. I can't take that either. If you've got corroboration, you know, if you have something else to add to that to make that look more like it's real, then I'll take it. You know,
God,
I mean,
I can't stop myself.
yeah, no, she can't, and that's what I love about her. So I know the difference between residual and intelligent. And one of the things that science tells us right from the beginning, you cannot replicate the environment in which your intelligent spirit will come back. There's no way to do it. There's no way to do it. Residual, on the other hand, you could put 2 digital cameras in a room for 100 days, and if that happens for those 100 days at a certain time or even at a different time, and you're getting the same thing over and over and over again, then there's more to it. Okay? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that I can't believe because I don't want to believe. Even if I did believe or I do believe, I just need more.
You gotta read what Doc said down there.
Bill Chappell says, when a light on a sensor goes off, all you have is proof that a light went off. It's exactly true.
Exactly.
We're still, I mean, we have beat EMF to death. So start looking outside the box. Start looking for other energies. Start looking for other things to corroborate it. Now, I have had an incident where I had a K2 sitting in a hallway go off. Then I had 3 feet apart from each other, I had static electricity pods on both sides. Okay? Now, if you know the difference, EMF and static electricity is not the same. But they did go off the same time that the K2 went off. So to me, that was interesting. There was a static electricity and there was EMF.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? So you make notes of it. That's all you can do.
The environment had a charge to it that was not there prior to it at the same exact time that a beep or a sound happened.
That's why, Cindy, I take those little compasses with me. So that if the K2 goes off and that compass goes crazy, then we've got to do some more experiments. We'll look at that some more and see if there's something else that we can put there that'll corroborate what the K2 in the compass says. All I'm asking for people is to do experiments, do more. You know, if you really want the truth, like when I set out in 1985, my goal was to prove or disprove the life or the existence of life after death. That is my goal. That is my goal. And at this point in my life, I cannot tell you with physical evidence, just physical evidence, not experiences, physical evidence, I cannot prove that.
But you also know, Teddy, that I am more of a skeptic when it comes to stuff, too. You know that. And that's why I want
That's why we work well together. That's why we work well together.
Why I want corroboration with somebody who knows what's going on in a location, and then I can walk with them, etc., and we can have a discussion about it. right?
Steve Barry, yes, you can do both. You can have digital and you can have traditional video.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care if you just put up a camera that takes a picture every 2 seconds. No matter how long that apparition is within that room or being seen, you've got a 50-50 chance at a camera that's snapping every 2 or 3 seconds of catching that. I mean, it's a chance. I mean, I've had no problem with taking a room and setting up video, whether it be digital or traditional, a camera, and a freaking, the trail cams.
Yeah.
Stick them all in the same room. Change your lighting. Try your infrared.
Mm-hmm.
Try your UV light.
Do what
Try,
you're talking about, that cross lighting.
yeah, try all different lighting, and see what happens. I mean, wouldn't it be interesting if you had UV on the bottom of the room, infrared in the center of the room, and say night vision at the top? You know what I mean? So you got 3 wavelengths of light going through, like a sideways rainbow going through that room. And then you get something to pass through, and all you see is the green part, or the UV part, or the infrared part.
I want to talk about our experience on Friday, though.
Go ahead.
So I'll tell you my side. So I went through when I got there, I went through the location, which happened to be a funeral home.
True, Steve.
I went through the, and I didn't go with Ted, which is the first time I've never gone through a site with Teddy. It's the first time I've never done that. He usually records me, etc., and he just didn't want to. So I don't like to know anything. Teddy knows that I don't want to know anything. Don't tell me anything, period. So I go through with somebody, and it's usually somebody on the location that knows the location, and Teddy usually is with me. So so I was with Bonnie. We see Bonnie in the what's Bonnie's last name? Swift? Is she?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so Bonnie Swift was walking with me, and we're coming after doing the basement.
She's an old hippie.
We're coming up the stairs, and I was first, and I said, and I had my recorder going, and I said, "Oh, that's interesting." I said, there's a little green dot, a little light that I can't explain. I'm like, "Hey, Bonnie, do you?" And I tried figuring it out where I was right then and there, because I'm not just going to go, "Oh, that's a freaking orb." No. So I literally had this little green light, didn't understand it, and I said, "Hey, Bonnie, do you mind just going up, and I want to try and disprove this
Green light.
or prove that I can replicate this." I go down farther. I go up farther. I said, maybe it's my glasses and reflection off my glasses. Maybe it's light from something else. But where this was, there really shouldn't have been light coming in. But I wanted to double check. And,
Incorrect, Robert. Incorrect.
and there was no lights in that place that would have caused that. We did not have a camera going. We only both had recorders. So handheld recorders, audio.
And they were red lights. They weren't green lights.
Yes.
And they're not gonna show from the distance.
It won't show up right in front of me, like as I'm walking up, because it wasn't there, and I'm like, whoa. And the reason I was watching the stairs is because they were steep and tiny. They were these little tiny stairs. So because of the pitch of the stairs, and because of the width of the stairs, I make sure that I'm watching my footing, because I'm clumsy, people. I just want you to know I am.
Me too.
It's
You're
okay.
in a china shop.
Yes, Cindy in a china shop. Anyway, I couldn't disprove it. Well, then something else happened, and I had another, and we were in pitch dark at this point in the basement with Teddy's nephew, Corbin, with Bonnie to my side. We had our own little group going. I was sitting on the floor of this little tunnel part, hallway part, so to say.
That was where they took the bodies in and out of the morgue. Yep.
There was only red light, so we could film. You couldn't see in front of anything. And there was only a little, like a motion detector light that would come on every now and then if there were motion. However, it would come on and there's nobody moving. We literally were standing and sitting still. No movement, but that light would come on. And one of the times there was this, so Bonnie was leaning up against the wall, and she had her hand held out like this, like it was kind of close to her. So at one point, I saw a red light in front of her, which was out about a foot away from her at least. And I saw this light, and I had to double check where Bonnie was, and my eyes had to go back in. And I said, you know, that wasn't you, right, Bonnie? Your hand has been there? She's like, yeah, no, I haven't moved. And I said, yeah, I didn't think so, but I needed to make sure because I just saw this red light. But then another point, I had seen a green light, again, a green light up higher, more towards Bonnie's head or a little higher than that, but lower than where that light would come on for the motion. So I tell Teddy this after, when we are done with the investigation, there's nothing else. The only people who know about these things are the people that it happened with at that time. So then I tell Teddy about this, and then you tell them after I told you what happened.
Well, so I'm standing outside with one of the other investigators.
While I'm going through the first time.
While she's going through, and I was facing a picture window. The other investigator had his back to the window, so I was looking at him to talk. And as I'm talking to him, I see a green light go woo, poink, and then disappear. And I'm like, no. And so I walked over, I looked in the window to see if she was in the room. We looked for fireflies, we looked for all that stuff, and just, it was one of those things I just couldn't explain. That's it.
And the funny part is the room where that bay window is, basically.
Yes.
Just beyond that is the wall, and I would have been behind that wall, coming up the stairs, seeing what I saw with that green light.
And that's also the pre-room to where there was a lady laid out in the in there.
Literally
She
was
really
laid
was
out.
laid
We
out
get there,
for
we
tomorrow
get
morning.
there, and I come in and I said, "Is that a fucking dead body?"
Yeah, they actually had the body laid out, ready for the next day.
Yes. Yeah. So we both had an experience at pretty much the same time.
Yes,
Whether or
Robert.
not it was exactly at that time, but in the same vicinity, we both had it. So where that was and where it happened was in the same vicinity.
Yeah, and this was a green. This was like a neon green or something like that. It was green. You know, it wasn't yellow. It wasn't red. It was green.
It was green. I had two different color lights. I had the red and I had the green twice.
So, Bob says, rent the sleepless unrest. There is a shot of a spirit going across the room upstairs and the bedroom with the birthing room of it. Okay, very good. All right.
Off of it.
No, Robert, I wouldn't say it was a laser green.
Mm-mm.
No.
It was literally like about the size, well, of our coin. It would be a $50.
Bill, you're killing me.
It was like a $50.
Bill, you're killing me.
Flopping up with the dead body. Ah! No. Oh my God.
And I'll tell you, for an investigation, it was so dead quiet.
It was so quiet.
And no pun intended. But it was also the fact that
Right.
it was so hot, so quiet. It was, every place you went, there was a reflection. I mean, there really was a lot. And so I actually have to start reviewing that stuff pretty soon because I all have it waiting on me to review. But you know, it's,
that I picked up that I wouldn't have known, that nobody would have told me, were corroborated, were they not, by the guy that used to live there even.
Right.
The things I saw was a little blonde-haired boy, 2 to 3 years old, running through the upstairs.
and that was just the energy left behind from his son.
It was just an energy, yeah. because he's still alive. He's just an older adult, but yeah.
Exactly, Bill. There is no static in a hot, humid place.
You're talking about residual energy.
Yeah.
It basically was it. So I can pick up energy and I can see it, right? I can see it no matter what time frame. And so a lot of times, I shouldn't say a lot, but a lot, I guess it is a lot. I can't always tell if they're dead or alive. So I can pick up energy of people that are alive.
Dead or alive.
Because we're all living.
Hello, Mike.
I can tune into their energy. So if somebody said, okay, Cindy, tell me about just Ted Van Son, and Ted Van Son wasn't with me, and I didn't know Ted Van Son, I would say, okay, let me tune into Ted Van Son's energy, whether they were alive or dead, and I could pick up what I was feeling about that person.
Right. Well, I got to tell you, with all the, because I got to make this quick because we're actually got about 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
With everything that I have seen over the years, I've learned a couple things. One is I don't put down anybody else's investigation style because everybody's different. And the reasoning for that is, the reason for that is because we all have something that we can bring to the table. And
hopefully,
just because I do something, Cindy does something different, Len does something different, we may be able to catch something that the other person didn't. So I always leave that open. It's an open door. I personally don't like using all those gadgets. Cindy doesn't care for them that much either, but Len does, and that's good. You can't have everybody doing exactly the same thing sometime because then you're going to miss some stuff. But at the same time, we do want everybody doing this. So it's a pain in the ass. So we investigate the way we investigate, and we hope that we are getting physical evidence and corroborating what we're getting. And that's the best that we can do, especially since you can't create an environment to where it's just something you can do over and over and over again. What a trooper. I bring fried chicken to the table. Ghost proof.
Ted, I fully agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what I have are experiences. I'm not going to argue with whether it's proof or not, or whether it actually happened or not, or whether it was tampered with or not. All I do is show what I had, tell what I've been through, your choice to believe it or not, and I'll show you a video or a photo. You choose to believe it or not.
Yep.
And that's all I can do. I'm not here to start an argument or a fight with anybody.
Yeah,
I'm
and you know, Len,
just to tell people what I have gone through and my point of view of it.
Yep. Len, you're doing it right. You're doing it absolutely right. That's the way it is in this field. You do your experiments, you do your investigations, and whatever you have left over, you can call proof or whatever. But everybody's going to do something different, and if they don't believe it, that's on them. I mean, you can't. Everybody is so freaking different in the way they think. They're all programmed differently. And that's why the world is screwed up the way it is, too, because nobody wants to move off that edge a little bit and try and, even put themselves in somebody else's shoes.
Robert.
They just don't. They just don't do it. But we definitely have to get out of here in like 1 minute. So, Len, I want to say thank you so much for coming here.
Len.
We really appreciate you coming on the show and hanging out with us. We'll have you back again. In fact, Len and I are talking behind the scenes about getting him a show on WLFE, which would be really cool. Southern Fried Paranormal, which would be cool. So winner, chicken dinner, says Steve Barry. So
Bill says, I've seen an orb take a man's head clean off before. Fight me. Bye.
Well, if we're going to fight anybody, I know Cindy.
I appreciate y'all having me.
Right now.
Y'all been.
Go ahead, Len.
I had a great time. Y'all have been great hosts. Your comments, Steve Barry, Bill Davis, Robert White, Barry Martz, they've all been definitely fun comments, informative comments. Yeah. I welcome comments. I love talking to everybody here. I'm not upset, or I just want to kind of get Ted's goat a little bit, talk about portals and his point of view.
Good. Thanks, Len.
I enjoyed it. And
Len.
good night to everybody. I will see you again.
All right. Awesome, guys. Awesome. Steve Berry says good night, Len. Peace, brother. Barry Marsh says good night, Len. So that's cool. Yes, the second question. Bob says, enjoy listening to you, Len, Ted, and Cindy. Thank you so much. As always, we enjoy your show.
You guys know we love you so much.
Yes, we do. So second question, guys, is, now pay attention.
Oh, right, the second question.
Second question. What guest off a TV series would not leave the show? What guest off a TV series would not leave the show?
Our show?
Uh-huh. Kept popping in and popping in and popping in and popping in. Oh, now you know who I'm talking about. So what guest off a TV series would not leave the show? So that's your second question, guys. You got 2 more to go. Next week and the week after. So, and you'll get the third one probably.
But we're not doing a show, right? This
Not on Monday. Monday it'll be from Gettysburg. We'll be doing live feeds from Gettysburg come the weekend, next weekend.
So we're not doing one next Monday.
Nope, next Monday we're not doing one.
But then
it'll be that weekend.
But when we get back from Gettysburg, we will be doing one.
Mm-hmm. But you're going to see live feeds in between there because we will be at Gettysburg.
Yes, but when we come back home, we're still doing one on that Monday, the 23rd, I think it is. 22nd.
Yes, Steve Berry. Third question is how much wood could a woodchuck
All I got to say is, but the only comment I got about your Gettysburg thing, happy hunting.
Thank you. Bill Davis, I guess Ricardo Montalban. Best of shows next Monday.
Ricardo Montalban. That's hysterical. Okay, so Teddy, what do you have going on this week?
Right now, I am so busy with work. I even missed Saturday's show for Sofa Guys. I almost missed tonight because I was working late. I didn't get here till
Saturday night.
Oh my! Yes, you were.
We had so much fun.
And your T-shirt's still hanging here.
I know. I should meet you again.
Yep. And so Wednesday, I am going to be back at the store to help them out because he's going on vacation, and then the rest of the week I am at the bowling alley and the bar and the courtyard because Rebecca Bruno's coming Saturday.
Yes.
So we can't wait to see everybody.
I can come and see Becca.
Yeah.
Because I already had previous engagement, which is my girlfriend's daughter's graduation party. So
we still hope we get to see you.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get out there. I can't promise anything, but I would love to see Becca.
Okay, so what else you got going on so we can get out of here?
So I have Tarot Tuesday tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find me on my The Psychic Cindy YouTube page. That's where I go live these days. However, you guys, if you go check out my Psychic Cindy on Facebook, it's not Psychic Cindy anymore. It is The Psychic Cindy. So now all my pages are copacetic and
there you go.
It's all The Psychic Cindy now, so it's awesome. So if you go to Facebook, it's at The Psychic Cindy. If you go to YouTube, it's at The Psychic Cindy. If you go to Instagram, it's at The Psychic Cindy. So you guys, please go look at my stuffs and tell me if you like the new look of it all. And Thursday, I don't know what's going on with my Just Cindy podcast. I'm enjoying the time off, to be honest, right now. I do like it, but I'm reinvent it. So we'll be thinking about stuff like that. And then Sunday, I have D&D game on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the Bipolar DM, and we are the Bipolar Dragons. So
yeah.
And
don't forget, guys, that's
WLFE-DB.com.
Yeah, guys, don't forget. Please share us out. Please make sure that you invite your friends. Yeah, invite your friends. We're trying to get our numbers up some more. So that would be great to see everybody. So that would be awesome to get more people here. Len, again, thank you so much for joining us. We really enjoyed having you here.
So good to meet you.
Yes, definitely.
So, Teddy, go ahead.
All right. So
Nice
to you.
Yes.
So to you, Cindy. Do you know what time it is?
I sure do, Teddy.
Okay. Wherever there is darkness, there's always
the light.
Thank you for listening to Paratalk Radio with Ted Wolf and Psychic Cindy. Catch us next Monday for another fantastic guest. Please check out our show as well as others on the WLFE DB Radio Network. And remember, like, follow, and share with everyone.
Join us at WLFE-DB.com for upcoming shows and so much more.